Alrighty, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Season 3, Episode 46 of Hit the Books, the podcast all about sports betting, the best bets you should be taking in everything surrounding sports. This week, it's just Huff and I. We're here in the dog days of summer like usual, but we got the NHL free agency happening now, NBA free agency, plus some other things, MLB power rankings, and more. Like I said, just Huff and I, so let's jump in this week's episode and introduce my co-host, Huff. Huff, what do you got for us here this week? You got in a round of golf here on this nice Wednesday. We're recording a little later than usual, but never an issue. What do you got for us?
Yeah, back to the old days. I hit the books, recording late at night. Getting out here at 9:54 currently on a Wednesday evening. Like you said, did get in a little round of 9 holes. Not as much as I'd like to play. Wanted to get out there for a little more. But obviously had some other priorities getting here. Like you said, dog days of summer. But I will say this: it doesn't feel that way compared to the other summers that we've had. Recording the podcast with baseball this year has been a little bit more electric than past years. We have obviously the All-Star break coming up, so that's always something to talk about there. This is our first summer with the Summer Olympics to talk about as well, going in there with the MLB, so we'll have a couple weeks with that. I've been betting. I've been big on this Wimbledon the past couple of weeks. Every morning I've been waking up, turning on ESPN, watching these Wimbledon matches. They're getting in the quarterfinals for today. So definitely a couple good matches going up there in the next couple of days. I think it ends. I could be wrong. What's today? The 11th. I think it ends Friday, maybe.
Today's the 10th. It goes through the 14th.
Does it go Sunday? Yeah, Sunday is probably the last. Probably the finals. But yeah, that makes sense. I think we have a good amount of sports going on. Not necessarily the slate that we're used to of football, basketball, hockey. We have more baseball, tennis, and I guess we're going to get into the Olympics. I'm not really going to dabble in too much of other things other than basketball. But as we're recording, we're going to get USA versus Canada in a little scrimmage matchup here in 30 minutes. I'm excited to stay up and watch that a little bit on FS1. Couldn't find anywhere to bet on it, but just gonna get my eyes out there to see what this Team USA is looking to do. But yeah, like you said, no Mackey, no Ace. You heard from them last week, and now it's the other two this week. So excited to get into it. Got a little bit of stuff I want to recap from last week that I wasn't here for, but yeah, got a lot of stuff on the slate. I'm excited.
Yeah, lots of good stuff there. Huff, Ace, and Mackey took the reins there last week, but turning the tables here now. Us two can take the cake. Let's jump into some of these notable dates that we got coming up here. Like you said, you were talking about the Wimbledon. You're big into it. I know you gave us a nice little 2-leg parlay, and it hit, and which was hype.
What's crazy is I'm actually 5-0 betting on this Wimbledon tournament this year, and I've never really dabbled in betting in tennis. I always kind of have my general understanding of it, but I've been pretty good. None of them are crazy odds. Like I do a lot of 2-leg, 3-leg parlays, but a lot of guys are minus 700, and I'm like, they're not going to lose. So give me the minus 700, give me a minus 450. And then I usually try to throw in like a minus 170 to get it to like, if I'm lucky, plus 150. Like sometimes, like the one I gave out was minus 139. I mean, that hit with a no sweat, but
yeah,
like I took one, it was minus 210, and I was like, this is terrible odds, but it's going to hit. So I didn't really give a shit.
I was laughing when you sent that. I know you've always kind of been into tennis in a way. Like it's just been kind of in your family and stuff, but like, oh my God, it cracked me up, man.
There's one guy I like, and I was betting on him a lot. That was Shelton, the kid I gave out, but
yeah,
he did end up losing when I said take him in the live stream. He was plus 1250, but that was more just because I was a fan. But we did see a couple upsets today. The U.S. What's his name? Taylor Fritz, I think his name is. He's moving on. I think he lost. He might have lost today. I have to keep up with the scores. What happened today? But yeah, it's been good. Been doing good on the
Fritz
books.
Did lose today.
Yeah, I thought what was his name? Zverev or Medvedev?
Musetti.
Oh yeah, he lost that Italian dude. That Italian guy was like Zverev or what's his name? Fritz was like minus 450. That's the other thing. Like if you like underdogs, that's the kind of sport to bet because it's man to man. Like it's not a team sport. Like a guy could have a bad day any day and just blow a minus 700 money line. Like, but yeah. And what's crazy is some of these matches go for like 2.5 hours. Like
it's crazy, dude. It's mad.
It's full entertainment the whole way through. It's crazy.
Yeah. Heck yeah, lots of good stuff out of the tennis world. I can't say we've talked about tennis at all ever.
I think it's the first time ever on this podcast. I've never dabbled in the U.S. Open betting, but
here we are.
Next year when it comes around, that's something I've always wanted to go to. That's only in New York, so my sister's been there. That's something more attainable than Wimbledon over there in London.
Right. That would be awesome. Moving forward here, MLB All-Star Game and the draft here starting this weekend, starting Saturday, I believe, the 13th through the 16th. Following that, we got some Summer Olympics coming up, 2024 Summer Olympic Games in Paris, July 26th to August 11th. Moving over to the golf world a little bit, the Genesis Scottish Open, July 11th through 14th here, so coming up starting tomorrow. The Open Championship, July 18th to 21st, and PGA saying August 1st to the 4th is when Olympic golf will be mostly taking place. I assume it'll be some stuff before that, stuff after that, but that sounds like it's when the bulk of the juice is.
Yeah, so I'll kind of jump through those in order. MLB All Star Game. The my highlight of that is obviously Skeens. There's a chance he's the starter for the National League,
That'd
so
be
I'm looking forward to
awesome.
that. I'd definitely be looking forward to that. First, he'd be one of the first rookies if he's the first overall pick to be named to the All Star team the following year, and they're already talking about him possibly starting this game. I think that'd be a great. Obviously, if you're looking to get people to watch this game, you're looking to get people to tune into the MLB. Paul Skeens has taken the league by storm. He's 5-0. The ERA 2.12. I think the last time I checked, he's a strikeout machine. I'd be looking for Paul Skeens to start the All Star game. That'd be something I would especially looking forward to as a Pirate fan, but even as an MLB fan, looking for these young stars to come up and show what they can do immediately. I know as a Pirate fan, I've been told my whole life, oh, these guys need a couple years in the system. They need to grow. And Skeens has come up right immediately this year and done his thing. But obviously, and then we have the Olympics coming up, so that's going to be a good 2 weeks as well, from the 26th to the 11th. And then, like Jesse said, the Scottish Open getting going this weekend. The Open Championship, we have the fourth major next week between the 18th and the 20th. We have a great, like I said earlier, like the dog days of summer, but there's a lot going on: tennis, baseball, golf, the Olympics coming up. We have a lot of sports throughout this rest of this summer. And then before you know it, football is going to be back. It's going to be August. It's already past July 4th. July, what's today? The 10th. Yeah, so I truly think that this summer is going to be a little different. We have the Olympics. We have a lot of golf, the fourth major coming up. I'm excited for it. And then, like I said, football training camps. I mean, truly, the NFL training camp's a month away. So after the Olympics, we're looking straight into the NFL. That's why I feel like this summer is a little bit different than ones in our past. We've been more trying to focus on baseball. Obviously, we've been killing baseball cards, betting on baseball. I've been doing very well myself the past week, or the past 2 weeks, really. But I'm excited. I think I'm honestly pretty excited for the Olympics, and that mainly means just basketball. And I guess I watch swimming a little bit, but like that mainly means basketball. It's all over my social media right now. Anthony Edwards, LeBron James, everyone wearing all the USA. I used to love this time of year when they did the Olympics, and then all the LeBron and KD and Kobe shoes would come out with the Olympic colorways. But yeah, they're all wearing their Olympic gear. I'm excited for Team USA in basketball. Like I said, versus Canada tonight. By the time you're listening to this, that scrimmage will be over. But I'm excited to see how we match up against. I think Canada's the only team they have a matchup against, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, back into the Olympic stuff here. I'm interested in like the badminton, the basketball, beach volleyball is always a good one.
Isn't like summer like fencing?
Yeah, fencing, a
Here's
lot
how
of
I
the
know.
cycling stuff, which is cool,
Here,
track and field, which is great.
here's how I know
Uh,
what events are in each Olympics. If you ever played when you were younger, the Mario and Sonic, the Olympic game.
yeah,
hmm
best game.
I love those games.
I tried playing it on one of the emulators, but I couldn't get the Wii remote to work.
Really,
Yeah, I don't have like a good one. I just had one sitting around.
I
But
have like a true Wii. Like if you need like an actual, I have like my full Wii
yeah, we can chat about that. That's a whole another
and
ball
the
game.
game. Like we could just play
Yeah,
it on Wii.
that'd be fun. That'd be actually a lot of fun. Swimming,
I have the winter one with like the hockey, and then I have
that's
the
cool.
summer one where you did all the. I always like the tennis.
Yeah, the swimming this year is going to be electric. How they're putting the pools, or excuse me, how they're putting the trial pools in these stadiums and stuff. But just mad.
The pictures of it in Lucas Oil was insane.
So cool. Looked so good.
Like
But yeah,
that looked like what they swim in like what when Phelps won in like
yeah,
Beijing. They have those
right,
huge pools over there. Like not huge pools, but huge stadiums. That's what they do.
right. All right. Well, lots of good stuff here. Lots of big sports stuff coming up. Like you said, the couple golf tournaments coming up here shortly, the Summer Olympics, MLB All-Star Game, and so on. But let's jump into the NHL here to start off. The NHL free agency is going on as we speak. A couple moves happening here each and every day. The first day I don't remember the exact quote, but something like on the first day of the free agency, it was something like there were like,
It was like $1 billion spent.
yeah, $1 billion spent across like 60 moves or something, 67 moves or something, which
It
was
was
the
the
most
most.
ever.
I saw that stat. It was the most money spent over the least amount of moves, or
Yes.
the least amount of moves, and it surpassed the most money spent. It was some weird one off stat, but just to get into a couple of these, obviously we saw Aces Boston Bruins move on from their goalie tandem, sending Linus Allmark to the Senators. That was a trade, not free agency, but a couple of these are trades. Jacob Markstrom to the Devils. We heard that at the trade deadline last year. So he's officially in New Jersey. Jake Gensel signs a big deal with Tampa Bay to go down there and join Braden Point and a couple of those other pieces. They've lost Sergachev to Utah. They lost Stamkos to Nashville. Duchesne stays in Dallas. Elias Lindholm to the Bruins. Jake DeBrusk to the Canucks. A lot of Canucks going, and what's his name? Zadorov going over to Boston. A lot of Western Canadian players going to Boston. A lot of Boston players going to West Canada.
Seriously.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised by that. Darcy Kemper to the Kings. Riley Smith, the former Penguin, to the Rangers. Glad to see him go. He didn't have too much success here. Yeah, a couple of the other moves there, but NHL free agency's been pretty good. I liked a couple of the moves that our Penguins made. I think they could go get another piece. I'm just not sold on Jari. I'd like them to go get a true goalie, but they signed Nedeljkovic to a 2-year deal. I saw that, but they have faith in Jari. There's talks in Sidney Crosby being in talks for I just said talks twice. There's talks in him being in I think they said a 3 or a 4-year deal to keep him a Penguin through the rest of his career. Obviously, that's something I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I saw him in another jersey. There's always those athletes that, they do the one-off year with another team. Crosby's made it very clear that he wants to stay a Penguin, and I think you'll see a situation where he signs a long-year deal to stay in the black and gold through the rest of his career before the season starts, for sure.
Yeah. You covered a lot of these moves here that we have written down here, but big ones like Gensel to the Bolts, I thought that was a surprising-ish one. I mean,
that's an upgrade. They lost Stamkos and they gained Gensel. Yeah. That's an upgrade.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a great one for the Bolts. I think the Canes are stupid for not being able to make a move there and make a connection.
He made it clear that he wanted to stay with Carolina. He was like, they traded for me. He made it very clear that he never wanted to leave Pittsburgh. And then he was like, all right, this team went all in on me. I'll give my loyalty to them. They don't give him a deal. He's like, fuck you guys, I'm leaving.
Yeah, and he didn't want to come back after, there was an option to get traded back or whatever, us for pick him up in the free agency here. Or not.
I thought he was going to come back. I would have loved him to come back.
I did too, but whenever I saw a couple posts that were like,
he wasn't happy how we actually traded him.
Yes,
he didn't. They said he didn't want to go for a cup. He would have rather stay here with and tried something next year than go for a cup for 1 year.
Yeah. So you made a good point there with a lot of the Bruins players going over to West Canada, or going over to Canada in general. Bruins running with Swayman there. He's now going to take the cake for sure. No more Ace talking about Ullmark versus Swayman. They got to go 1-for-1.
Yeah, the delirious Bruins fans that want to deal with that in the playoffs, they can put that to rest. The Bruins made your choice. You guys like Swayman. Last year, Ullmark, a Vezina winner. Swayman looked like the guy in the playoffs this year until they ran into a buzzsaw in Florida, who obviously ended up winning the Stanley Cup. But, yeah, I mean, Bruins fans, you don't have any more choice now. Seems like Ace is pretty happy with some of these additions they've made. But other than that, yeah, I think the Bruins will be okay. I don't think this team is pushing for a Stanley Cup right now. I'm not saying like they're way off, but there's a couple teams that are just at the top of that mark. I don't think the Bruins are far off, but I think there's a lot of teams that they're not much better than, and that puts them right in that middle to above average range.
Yeah, I think you're hit that pretty spot on. But as the weeks roll on here, we're definitely going to be covering more of the NHL free agency. Lots to uncover there as just things keep unfolding before this preseason starts.
See if you can find I feel like there's a list. See if you can find who's the big guy that's left. There's always that one or two people that haven't signed a contract on the first day. Like Stamkos to Nashville. Nashville, I was pretty interested in what they did. Marchessault, they go get a Stanley Cup winner, Jonathan Marchessault off Vegas. They go get a Stanley Cup winner from Tampa Bay and Steven Stamkos. I forget who else they signed. Nashville is they
Nashville is
re-signed UC Saros. They're kind of going for it in the West there. I like that from them.
so. This is the Bleacher Report NHL trading block. I don't know what this is, but it has like Jari
Yeah.
on it. Mitch Marner. I know he only has a year left.
Those are guys under contract though. I'm looking for like the guys that haven't signed as of like July 10th. I mean, that's today's date, but you know what I mean. Like, there's always you know what I mean. There's always one or two people. Like in the NBA, I could name a couple guys that
Unrestricted
haven't
free
signed.
agents.
Yeah.
Adam Brooks. I don't know him. Carter Hart. Eric Johnson said he resigned actually.
Carter Hart might still be dealing with that shit with when he was on the USA junior team with like the rape charges or whatever it was. I don't want to, don't quote me on that. We are on a recording right now. Don't quote me on whatever he got charged with, but
none of these guys are really
dealing with some legal issues. We'll say that.
Yeah. Mark Stahl. Re-signed him.
All the young, attractive pieces are gone.
Yeah, I mean, Sabres signed a lot of 1- and 2-year deals with Lafferty, Zucker,
all the former Penguins.
Reimer. Yeah, all the former Pens love Buffalo. They didn't have to go too far.
That's a team I'd like to be good. Is Buffalo? That'd be a cool team to be good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Huff, I'm really not seeing like any too big deals. Like the Smith signs the 3-year deal with Stars. We knew that.
He left Vancouver. I didn't know that. So they're going with that Silovs guy that came in the playoffs. They must have liked him when he stepped in.
Yeah, they're getting Smith on a deal, $1 million a year.
Yeah, that's about what I mean. What did he sign? 3 years, $3 million.
Yeah, exactly. But
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like the market's way higher than that right now, especially for backups.
Yeah, because a lot of these teams want 2 goalies, like what the Bruins just did.
Literally,
I'm not saying it worked. Like a lot of the teams that won the cup in the past couple of years, like Vegas last year, they won with Aiden Hill. The year before,
right?
Avs won with.
So yeah, I mean, really, I'm not seeing any huge names on it. David Perron signed with Ottawa. Reimer signed with Buffalo. Those are some big names. Daniel Sprong.
Mackey and Ace aren't here. What did our Penguins officially do? Let's see the Penguins 2024 off-season additions. Read that list to me.
Gretzko, I don't know who that is. Signed 1-year contract. Bolivier.
They got 1 year. So here's what I know. Here's what I know off the top of my head. They got rid of
Ryan Shea.
They got Kevin Hayes. I remember that. I like that deal a lot. Older player, but I like that. Penguins are an older team, but we need some young legs. That's why I wanted to bring Gensel back, but he's kind of getting up there as well. I didn't really want to lock in on him on a big deal. I like getting a veteran like Kevin Hayes. I like getting rid of a guy like Riley Smith.
Ashton Aho.
The defenseman. Yeah, I was gonna say every time I hear that name, I think of the guy in Carolina. That's a terrible guy to. But yeah, they signed a depth defenseman. I like a couple of these moves the Penguins have made. I think they're a piece or two away from being in that picture. But I don't know. I just want Crosby to have a true 30-goal scorer winger. And ever since we got rid of Gensel, there just hasn't been that. But yeah, I think the Penguins are in a good position moving into next year. But
Jeff Carter doesn't get another contract.
I hope not with us. I can tell you that.
You don't like him.
Dude, how much older? How many more guys over the age of 34 can this team sign?
You're right. You're very, very right. I can't argue with that.
They'd be better off signing me just to bring the average age down.
Yeah, you're right.
I'd do it for. What would I do it for? 1 year.
$750.
League minimum. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to set my number too low. League minimum.
All right. Good stuff. I think that's. You have anything else for the NHL that you want to add?
No, that's basically it. I mean, NHL, like we said, I don't know. Ace, if Ace was here, maybe he would have talked a little bit about this league. I didn't really hear much about this, like Minnesota off-season league that he wanted us to kind of mention, but maybe next week he can kind of touch on that. I don't know when it starts. I don't know too much about it, but
yeah, hopefully hear more about that. It sounded interesting, but just don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Let's move forward here to the NFL. Some positional rankings here this week. Is it tight ends this week?
Yes, we are going to do tight ends. I'll start out with Ace's list. It is very similar to mine. Mackie did not send a list. Ace sent a lot of um, I don't know what the word would be, description or backing to his list. We'll give him his honorable mentions were Kyle Pitts and Dalton Kincaid. Obviously, Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons, Dalton Kincaid, Buffalo Bills. He said one of them will be top 5 next offseason. So look for that as a hot take from Ace up there in Rhode Island. But number 5, he has T.J. Hawkinson in Minnesota. Number 4, T.J. Hawkinson's replacement in Detroit, Sam Laporta, the young gun up there. I'm a big fan of his. Number 3, Mark Andrews. Number 2, George Kittle. And number 1, Travis Kelce, still up there at that number 1 spot, the back-to-back Super Bowl champion. I think you still got to put him there, but I think this is a tell all year to see if Kelce still has it. But my list, it's going to be pretty similar to Ace. My honorable mention is actually Hawkinson and Kincaid. My number 5 is going to be my homer pick. I think Freiermuth makes that step this year to truly be a solidified top 5. Russell Wilson loves a good tight end that can go get him 8 yards and a first down. I think Pat Freiermuth is that exact fit for him. I think that's part of the reason why Russell Wilson wanted to sign here with a running back like Najee Harris, with the receivers that the Steelers have and George Pickens. In the tight end, obviously including him in there, Pat Freiermuth with those receivers. I think Freiermuth solidified number 5. Laporta, I have the same top 4 as Ace. Laporta, number 4. Number 3, Mark Andrews. Number 2, George Kittle. And number 1, Travis Kelce. I think the top 4 in this one are pretty like set in stone. I think it's number 5 where you get to that point where you could kind of go either way with however you want. But like I said, Mackie didn't send a list here. Me and Ace just differing at number 5 with Hawkinson and Freiermuth. But um, Kyle Pitts, he's had too many chances to be in this top 5, and he just hasn't done it. So, yeah, that's going to be my top 5. Next week, I don't know what we're getting into next week when we're all back, but maybe like offensive line. Maybe we should skip that for whenever a week when not a lot of people are here, and we should do something good next week like edge rushers. But yeah, stay tuned for that.
Yeah. All right. We'll have to update that calendar, that list, if you will.
Edge rushers is one of those more like I like having the ones that are more up for debate, like running backs like when we do that 2 weeks ago. What they do last week? Receivers? They never even asked me what my fucking receivers were.
Yeah, I think they did.
All right, well, I'll ask them next week. Stay tuned for my list of receivers next week because I didn't prepare for that.
Well, all right. We'll do a whole 360 there next week.
We'll
Lots
do
of
edge
stuff to happen
rushers,
next week.
edge rushers in my list of wide receivers. That's what we'll do next week.
Alrighty, let's keep it going here. That's all we got for the NFL. Let's keep it going here. Moving into the MLB. Let me try to find these picks.
For today?
No, oh yeah, I guess you can shout those out if you like.
Recap today's card. White Sox game 1, little doubleheader on a Wednesday. That was a nice hit. Plus 143 on the money line there. And then we had the Royals as well. Another doubleheader in game 1. 2 little afternoon plays, hit on both of those, made just over 2.6 units there. That was a nice little Wednesday afternoon. Cleaned up the night slate with the Tigers over the Guardians. Hit that one as well. They won 5-4. The other play, though, was the Red Sox minus 1.5 against Oakland, and the Oakland won outright 5-1. 3-on-1 day, 3 underdog plays. Obviously, even on the afternoon slate, we ended up making 0.3 units. So just under a 3-unit day. Love to see it. MLB card, big comeback these past couple of days, or over the past week especially. If you haven't been staying tuned, make sure you're turning those post notifications on, getting all those MLB plays. Not gonna lie, we throw them out there at very random times, not really a set time every day. It's kind of when we all decide what the official plays are for the day. Could be if we have day baseball that we're all on, we put it out. If we wait until the night slate, make sure you're staying tuned for that as well. So, but we've been doing pretty good. I think we're just over 6 units in the MLB, 42-ish and 30 something, right around there. Don't quote me on that record, but I do know that we are over 6 units. So definitely profitable out there on the diamond. But
51, 42, and 3 plus 7.16 units here before the plays today.
There you go. That's
Very
before
good start
Tiger.
point.
That's before, and that's with a Tigers win and a Red Sox loss. So add a win and a loss.
And one of them was plus 130, right?
Plus 130 hit. So we made
Nice.
money.
Awesome. Yeah, lots of good stuff out of the MLB. Our next stop here is our power rankings for it. Coming in at number 5, the Milwaukee Brewers, taking down Pirates pretty good today with Perez pitching. He looked like a bum, could barely reach the plate. It's kind of sad. But moving forward, number 4, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Number 3, the Cleveland Guardians. Number 2, the Philadelphia Phillies. And number 1, the Baltimore Orioles to wrap up our power rankings for this week. Any thoughts on those, Huff?
Yeah, I've been waiting for this Brewers team to climb in here. And they finally do. I think they've been here in this one other spot this earlier this year, but the top 2 teams in baseball, we've seen the Phillies now beat up on this Dodgers team the past 2 nights. They won tonight. I don't know if they won by 1 or 2, what the final score was. It was a closer. They were up 4-2. I think it ended up being 4-3. But Phillies they win the series over the Dodgers, another top 5 team. This Philadelphia team, they are legit. Been very heavily considering putting a future on them to win the World Series. I think either of these top 2 teams you could have good value on coming out of their league. You could put a future on Baltimore to represent the AL and Philly to represent the NL. That'd be a crazy World Series, not too far apart as far as geographically goes. Baltimore and Philly, that'd be a hell of a World Series matchup. It's kind of what I'm rooting for at this point. I'm a Yankee fan. I'd love to see the Yankees get there. Even Philly versus New York, that would be electric as
That'd be
well.
crazy.
Yeah, I truly just I love seeing I as a Pittsburgh fan and a Pirates fan, and the Phillies are in the NL. I feel like we don't have to worry about them as much because they are in a different division. Like they're going to make the playoffs if they win their division. Pirates are going to be a wild card usually. Like I've always liked the Phillies. I love Bryce Harper. I'd love to see this Phillies team go far this year. We saw it last year. They lost to the Diamondbacks in the NLCS. I'd like to see them get their revenge and get there again this year. In a dream scenario, it's against my Pirates. That's me being a little bit unrealistic. But as far as like a true gambling standpoint, I think the Phillies to represent the NL is a very good bet. I love this Milwaukee team. They're not as good as this Philadelphia team. Philadelphia will get the job done late in October. They have the bats. They have the pitching. Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez. We saw I'm blanking on the guys. Christopher Sanchez that went tonight. Yeah, I love this Philly team. I think they're really good, and I think you'll see them late in October in the NLCS again. So if you can get them to win the NLCS, I saw plus 200 a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it's that close now that they just beat down on the Dodgers. I think this is a really good team. But yeah, the Phillies and the Brewers are probably my 2 teams in the NL. I don't love this Dodgers team. I know a lot of people do. The injury to Mookie Betts, there's a lot of question marks. They're so deep. They have Ohtani. They won without Ohtani. How can't they win with them? Like Freeman, all these guys. But I've never been able to get behind that Dodger team. Only thing I like about that team is their uniforms and Freddie Freeman. Love Ohtani. I like a lot of their players. As far as just a rooting standpoint, I can't get behind that franchise. So I'd definitely be rooting for the Phillies to come out of the NL. This Orioles team is fun. I'm rooting for the Yankees. Give me a Yankees-Phillies World Series. That's what I'm rooting for. And I promise you will see the Yankees back on this list in the next 2 weeks. That was a bad month, and they'll figure it out.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Yankees doing bad, Mets doing well this month. Very odd month here for the world of baseball.
Yankees haven't won a series in their past 7. That's insane.
That's wild.
They're one of the best teams in baseball. Like still one of I think it's crazy they're not in this top 5. They should be 5. I love Milwaukee, but the Yankees are better than Milwaukee. And Cleveland's the team that no one really expected to be sitting in this spot.
Right.
They lost Shane Bieber. They just continue to win games. I know they're in a shitty division, but I mean, you can't really count them out in the American League either. They've shown all they can do is win 2 out of 3 games every series.
Heck yeah, lots of good stuff there. Definitely got to keep an eye on the MLB here as we quickly approach these playoffs here, right around when we'll be starting talking about football and all that.
I know this is the one thing I didn't write down for the MLB. Go through the home run derby guys that have been announced so far. I've been trying to find odds on it, but the official lineup's not announced yet. They're still waiting on like announcing 2 people. I don't know why they can't just announce it all at once.
So dumb.
It's because a lot of these guys opt out. Like obviously they want Judge, they want Ohtani. Ohtani said he's not doing it because he's rehabbing from the UCL. That's why he's not pitching this year. I understand that, but like I know it's Ozuna, Alonso.
Here, I got it. I'll go through it. Gunnar Henderson from the Orioles, Alec Baum from the Phillies, Pete Olson from the Mets, Bobby Witt Jr.
Pete
from the
Alonso. Pete
Royals.
Alonso.
What did I call him?
Olson.
I don't know why I said Olson. I know it's Alonso. It
I was
doesn't
good. Is
look
Matt
like
Olson
Olson.
in it? That's the only other guy I could think you were looking at a different last name.
Marcell Ozuna, Jose Ramirez, Guardians. I don't know how to say this. Adolis Garcia.
Adolis Garcia, yeah.
Adolis.
He's the hometown guy. It's in Texas, and he's a
Yeah,
Texas Ranger.
nice. Tassar, I don't know, Hernandez from the Dodgers.
Teoscar, yeah.
And that's it for this list as of today.
That's 7 guys. We're waiting on one more. So Teoscar Hernandez, I didn't know Teoscar Hernandez was in it. That's the 7th guy that got announced. So we're waiting on one more. There's usually 8 guys, and I don't know if you can look this up as well while I'm kind of touching on this, but I believe they changed the rules this year. So it's not a bracket format. Like all 8 guys, it's going to be kind of similar, a cross between the NBA 3-point contest and the home run derby, where the first round, I believe only like 4 people are getting eliminated, but all 8 guys are going to go. Whoever the 4 guys with the most home runs move on to the semifinals, and then they get seeded up. Am I correct on that?
Yes, so it looks like change number 1, no more head-to-head bracket in the first round, in seeds in the first
No one
round.
wants
So
the head-to-head. Like you can hit 17 home runs, and you put it this way: like me and you could go together and go against each other in the home run derby. I could hit 1 home run, you could hit none. We could both have bad days, and I move on. Like
right.
no one wants to see that. So that's why they made this change where it's like the 4 highest home run scorers all move on. It doesn't matter who goes against who. They don't play each other until the semifinal.
That's the way to do it for sure.
Yeah.
And then it says cap on a number of pitches per round. So the MLB is continuing on the time format. It first implemented back in 2015. One key change: hitters will now have a maximum amount of pitches they can see per round, maximum of 40.
See, I think they should cut the time and go back to dude, when we were younger, like my first memory of the home run derby was when it was, I don't know if it was, it wasn't 10 pitches, it was 10 outs. Like you used to be able to take a ball.
Yeah. No, I remember that because that's all the video games were.
Yeah, you used to be able to not swing at it and it wasn't an out. Like unless they swung, it wasn't an out. So like you could take the first pitch and just not swing, be like, okay, I didn't like that one. You didn't stop until you got 10 outs. Like a lot of these guys would go for, they didn't like it because it was, some of these guys could hit for an hour if they wanted to on 10 outs. So then they should have just lowered the amount of outs, but they added the time limit. I don't like the aspect of how when you're watching the home run derby, you're watching a home run go before one home run lands, they're already hitting another one. So they have this like dual broadcast thing up on one half of the screens watching where the ball goes, the other half of the screens watching the guy batting. It's too hectic in my opinion. The home run derby used to be, like I said, 10 outs and it wasn't anything crazy. I'd like it to get back to that. They're making the right move, going away from the bracket style in the first round. I think I'm excited for it. I think we have a good slate, or good. What would be the word be for the players? Like I think we have a good amount or good players.
Field.
Good field. That'd be the word I'm looking for. I think there's a good field of players participating in it this year. Is obviously, like I said, guys that they want that aren't going to participate. Ohtani, Judge, certain guys like that. But I'm excited for it. I think it's Monday. I truly is it Monday? Pirates have one more series. I think Monday is the home run derby. Tuesday is the All-Star game.
Correct. It is Monday. Well, that's going to be fun.
That's what I mean. It's crazy. Like today's Wednesday, and we don't even know the odds for the home run derby. Like I feel like you should be able to bet it today.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's crazy you don't know who the 8th person is. I assume they know, but like,
I'm not kidding you. They're sending emails to guys' agents being like, "Will you do it?" But then they probably have a little.
Okay. I know what you're saying.
They probably have a little asterisk at the bottom that says like, if Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, or this person confirm, you are a reserve. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
They know what they're doing.
Late night switch.
Literally.
All right. Well, that's all I got from the MLB. How about you?
Yeah, that's about it.
Cool. All right. Well, let's move forward here over to the NBA. Not too much here. If you want to go over some of the free agency stuff, some stuff going on in the offseason, please do. But first, The NBA has finalized contracts with NBC and Amazon Prime Video while maintaining ESPN as the home of the finals under agreements that will extend for 11 seasons and be worth $76 billion. Supposedly, there is room for TNT to match or counter that offer to keep their rights, but people are unsure if that'll happen. I'm curious about your thoughts, what you think about NBC, and NBC is not a bad one, but it being on Prime Video is kind of a whack situation. Curious what you think. That's a ton of money, like more
How
money
do you
than
match? How do you match 76 billion? You said.
yes. So think of it like this, right? So Amazon Prime's probably not going anywhere, but the NBC sliver seems to be up for grabs, and that's give or take. I don't know how the contract is,
That's
but
the
probably three
national
quarters.
TV games, like they're on NBC.
Right.
But like
So
normal Tuesday, Wednesday night, like when I want to watch the Spurs and Wembanyama, I'm going to be watching on Amazon Prime.
probably.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But when it's Lakers Celtics, it's on NBC at
Yeah, which
8:30.
whatever that value is of that 76.
Exactly.
So
Probably maybe
call
10%,
it
12, 15, 20.
eh,
You think it's more than a quarter?
yeah,
35?
ish.
I'd say it's like you're right. It might be closer to like 60-40, 38,
You know what I mean? And then they
62.
negotiate the games they want and all that stuff. And,
Well,
it's all
NBC's not doing it if they're getting fucking
right.
Kings, the Hornets. They're not
Right.
doing it.
Exactly. Right. So, from a
They probably told
technology standpoint,
Amazon, "You get all the shitty games. We'll take the good games."
yeah. So, obviously, I know I said this on the show. The Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football stuff did not go well. There was
Really?
more. Oh yeah, from a standpoint from the production side, it didn't really go well. There were a lot of interruptions, a lot of drops, a lot of stuff like that. But like
I hated that.
right, but
I miss
for
it
you,
on NFL Network. Like I used to think it was a bitch watching it on NFL Network, but I was spoiled growing up with NFL Network in my house, so I never really thought it was that big of a
right,
deal. Then I had to turn it on Amazon Prime every week, and I was like, I miss NFL
it's
Network.
terrible. Yeah, so hopefully they can pick up the ball. They've been Amazon Prime does a lot of baseball and stuff like that, whether we know it or not, for the local stuff.
They do
So
baseball.
their TV trucks do, yes. So they'll do some of that stuff, which is I think they need all the help they can get, sadly. So hopefully they can turn things around and they can make this a good deal for everybody. I'm hoping, it doesn't cost more on top of a regular Amazon Prime thing, but I'm starting to think that with Thursday Night Football and this, I can't imagine my prices of Prime is going to stay the same.
Yeah, no, it's gonna
I
go.
find that really hard to believe.
I mean, even $1. They were making that much money off even $1.
Right, exactly. So definitely some interesting stuff there, but you got anything about NBA free agency, some of the stuff going on here this offseason coming up to start of the next season here in about a month and a half,
Yeah,
mid-September?
I kind of recapped a couple of these things on the podcast. Let me find this post. Like I said, DeMar DeRozan to the Kings, Paul George to the 76ers. There was a couple. Obviously, the big fish was Paul George getting moved. We were surprised to see that. The Olympics, just to kind of touch on that while I'm trying to find this. Kawhi Leonard obviously opts out of the Olympics. They announced that Derek White is going to be joining the roster. No, they have 3 Celtics on the team and no Finals MVP in Jaylen Brown, but a couple of these free agency additions that have been made so far. Paul George to the 76ers. OG Anunoby stays with the New York Knicks on a 5-year, $212 million deal. Pascal Siakam re-signs with the Indiana Pacers, who went and got him at the trade deadline on a 4-year, $190 million deal. Emmanuel quickly staying with the Toronto Raptors, 5 years, $175 million. Let's see who else here. Like I said, DeMar DeRozan. I think it was a 3-year, $75 million. Malik Monk staying with the Kings on a 4-year, $78 million. James Harden staying with the Clippers, 2 years, $70 million. Kentavious Caldwell Pope, the 2-time NBA champion, going to the young Orlando Magic, 3 years, $66 million. Obi Toppin with the Pacers, 4 years, $60 million. The one deal I did like, speaking on the Orlando Magic, they locked up, I think it was Franz Wagner for a 5-year. It was I don't know if it was a super max, but like a max deal. He's owed a shit ton of money. I think he's totally worth it. Not most of the NBA public didn't love that deal. They didn't think he was really worth that number. But at his age, what that Magic team did last year, I'm really excited to see what they do next year. The NBA offseason's been electric, as always. Honestly, it's the best offseason out of any of the 4 major sports. These superstars just hop teams like it's nothing.
There's
And
always some type of news.
that's what I mean. And like that's why I love the NBA being the one team or the one league that Pittsburgh doesn't have a franchise in, because I just kind of root for players. I kind of have my teams with the Timberwolves. And now I kind of like the Spurs with Wembanyama, but it's mainly because of Wembanyama and because I like Anthony Edwards. I like LeBron. Like, there's a lot of players I like, not necessarily their teams, but I end up rooting for their teams when it becomes, like last year with the Wolves in the playoffs. I'm obviously going to root for them when everyone's out. But um, yeah, I have a couple teams in the NBA. Definitely love not having to, tie my kind of heart and soul to any of these players, because these players in the NBA just kind of jump ship like it's nothing. Paul George, we've now heard him tell a couple of franchises that he wants to be there for life and win a ring there. Obviously, moving on to the 76ers. I call me crazy. I don't know what Mackie and Ace said last week. Ace is a Celtics fan who just won the finals, so he's kind of delusional, riding high on that. Mackie, Knicks fan. I don't even have to really go there. He hasn't really seen much good basketball from the Knicks in the past 10 years. I think the 76ers team is going to compete with both of those teams. You get Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey. They bring in depth players, Aaron Gordon. They re-sign Kelly Oubre. They bring in Caleb Martin from the Miami Heat. I think the 76ers team is very scary. I think they're a 2 seed, if not a 3 seed at the worst. I think those are the top 3 teams in the East, though. I look at Orlando to be right there. I look at Indiana right there as the team that got knocked out in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Cleveland brings back Donovan Mitchell. The East is shaping up to be a lot better next year than it was last year. I think a lot of these teams just have another year under their belt. But me being me kind of gassing up Philly, being a Pittsburgh guy, like the Phillies. I like this 76ers team. I truly like what they're doing over there with the 76ers. I think that's going to be a good trio. You bring in a guy like Paul George, who's now not asked to do a whole ton. You have a former MVP in Joel Embiid, a young star in Tyrese Maxey, and you have a veteran that's won in the playoffs, like Paul George. Never been to a finals, but he's won in the playoffs. He's won playoff series. He can help that team get over the hump. I'm excited to see what the 76ers team can do next year.
Awesome stuff, Huff. Yeah, like you said, NBA free or NBA offseason is always electric, always something to talk about, always something to go over. So lots to look forward to as we continue through the offseason here before preseason and regular season starts in give or take 2 months, mid-September. Does that sound right? Or they start
For
first?
what?
Does NBA start early October like NHL, or do they start a little early?
It's like a week after the NHL.
Okay, my bad. So mid October rather. So a couple months away, but we'll definitely have more to add on the NBA as we approach that date.
Yeah, schedule hasn't been announced yet.
True. I didn't think about that.
NHL
Alrighty.
just announced their schedule.
Yes. Alrighty, Huff. That's about everything I got here this week. Got anything else to add?
I think that is it. Like I said, we've been doing pretty good in the world of the MLB baseball betting. Make sure you're staying tuned to our social medias. Get those post notifications on. Turn that follow button, subscribe button wherever you're watching, following, consuming our content from. We really appreciate that. Make sure you like, comment, share. Whatever you can do, we appreciate it. Other than that, thanks for listening, and we will see you guys this weekend either for a live stream or next week for the podcast. Either one, whichever you want to tune in for. Thank you.